time I'll ask you, okay?
So we are live. Go.
Good evening, friends and viewers in the USA and the Western Hemisphere. Good morning to all viewers in India and the Eastern Hemisphere. Namaskarams to all of you. I will be one of your hosts for this evening, and I'm here hosting this chat show on behalf of the Indian Octaves. Indian Octaves is an organization devoted to promoting India's traditional art forms and cross-cultural fusion in the USA through a variety of means such as concerts, lecture demonstrations, workshops, contests, competitions, and in these difficult times, chat shows like these too. With us on today's musical chat show, we have none other than Vidushi Gayathri Venkataraghavan. Of course, she needs no introduction to Carnatic music lovers, but all the same, it's my honor and privilege to talk about this very knowledgeable, scholarly musician who also happens to be a very humble person and a very good friend of mine. For that, I'm very thankful to God. She came under the tutelage of Srimati Padma Veeraraghavan, disciple of Sangeeta Kalanidhi Palghat Sri K.V. Narayana Swami. She continued to learn from Vidwan A. Sundareshan and is currently under the tutelage of Vidwan P.S. Narayana Swami. GV, as I affectionately call her, is an A top artist of All India Radio and has several awards under her belt. Isai Peroli, Nadaoli, Sangeeta Shiromani, Kalki Krishnamurti Award, Lifetime Achievement Award from the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, and MS Subbalakshmi Award, etc., to name a few. She is a very widely traveled person and has sung at many important venues in many cities around the world. She has released several albums, and her thematic ones are particularly noteworthy. Her melodious voice comprehends the strong link between the devoutness of classical music and its manifestations in the form of kritis. And before we get on to the chat show today, I would like to introduce a colleague of mine, Srimati Jyoti Krishnamurti, who will co-host this along with me. She is a disciple of Vidwan T.S. Krishnamurti from Bangalore, and she's also the founder and director of the Saptaswara School of Music here in Dallas. And by the way, my name is Santhi Mahadevan, and I have been a student of Vidushi Bhanumati Raghuraman, daughter and disciple of Sangeeta Kalanidhi Professor Dr. S. Ramanathan. And currently I am under the tutelage of Vidwan N.R. Prashant of Mysuru. I am the founder, director, and principal of the Pranavam School of Music here in Dallas. It is my singular pleasure to be on this talk show chatting to Srimati Gayathri. Namaskarams, GV. Hearty welcome to the show.
Namaste, Shanti ji, and Namaste, Jyoti ji. Very happy to meet all of you and our lovely friends from Dallas. Very happy to meet all of you.
As would have been in a normal concert of yours, may we begin the show with a small invocatory piece?
Absolutely. Definitely. This is my prayer for everybody and the world at large.
Yes, the need of the hour.
Absolutely. A composition of Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar on Lord Vaitishwaran of Vaitishwaran Koil, the Doctor of Gods. Shri Vaidyanatam Shri Vaidyanatam Bhajami Shri Vaidyanatam Bhajami Shri Vaidyanatam Bhajami Shrita Jana Vandita Balambikesham Shri Vaidyanatham Bhajami Shritajana Vandita Balambikesham Shri Vaidyanatham Bhajami Davalita Vaidyanatha Kshetram Davalita Vaidyanatha Kshetram Dayasudha Sagaram Trinetram Davalita Vaidyanatha Kshetram Dayasudha Sagaram Trinetram Davalita Vaidyanatha Kshetram Dayasudha Sagaram Trinetram Avinasha Kaivalyadi Pradam Avinasha Kaivalyadi Pradam Anandakara Muladi Gandham Shri Vaidyanatham Bhajami Shritajana Vandita Balambikesham Shri Vaidyanatham Bhajami Devarajadi Pujita Padam Divyambharadhara Guru Guhanutam Devarajadi Pujita Padam Divyambharadhara Guru Guhanutam Kavijanadinuta Somaskandam Kavijanadinuta Somaskanda Kamaniyanada Bindu Kalaspatam Shri Vaidyanatham Bhajami Shritajana Vandita Balambikesham Shri Vaidyanatham
Oh, what a wonderful experience, starting with an awesome, very divine Atana. So beautiful. Let's all hope that Lord Vaitishwaran cures all this pandemic situation and puts us back on our normal track and all that. So having said that, GV, you learned a lot of music when you were a little child. And then you got married. And then your husband's higher studies took you to various cities. So how then did you bring about the focus change? Having gone through a very similar experience, I'm pretty sure it would not have been easy at all.
Yes, actually, before all that, I have to also say that I'm a first generation musician. So my parents, my father, you might have read about it, was very keen about my learning music. That was all the background that we had. And so he wanted us to start training. He wanted to start training me. And so we had some teacher who came and taught me at home. We used to call him Kodavadiyar because Lakshmanan Vadiyar ரொம்ப நன்னா சொல்லி கொடுத்தார். ஏன்னா my cousins used to be terrified of him. பக்கத்துல ஒரு பெரிய கொடை வச்சிருப்பார், and every time I made him, if I was going to make a mistake, he would raise the umbrella like that, and so he was named Kodavadiyar. But unfortunately, he passed away because of some illness, and then I went on to Padmavi Raghavan Mami. And the Mami was KVN Mama's disciple. Before that, Rajalakshmi Mami came home and taught me some beautiful compositions. And she's still a big source of support to me. And then, of course, Padmavi Raghavan Mami, who's KVN Mama's disciple. I learned from her, and because of her, I was very fortunate to be exposed to some great music of Sri KVN Mama, which turned out to be a big turning point in my music journey, actually, so to say. Of course, now I'll come to your question. I was with Sundareshan Mama. I was learning under him because Padma Mami also was not well, and she suggested I move to Sundareshan Mama. And when I was learning from him, that is Sangeeta Chudamani Shri A. Sundareshan. You would have all heard a lot about him. Great, great Vidwan, and very, very, very big bhakta of, so to say, of the Trinity. And it was at that time I had got married in 93. And yes, my husband did do his MS after our marriage. And so we were in different towns in Tamil Nadu, down south, Madurai, then Chidambaram, Madurai, and then Tirunelveli. It was not easy, especially because I had become a mother of 2 children by then. And so I did have to take a break at that point of time. And I wanted to enjoy the children and their growing up and not be tied up with too much of travel and stuff. In fact, I had almost given up music. I wasn't even singing at home at that point of time for various reasons. Maybe not because I didn't have the support or anything like that, but my hands were full with both the kids. And as I told you, I wanted to be a full-time mother. Yes, so it was a journey which had almost kind of halted at that point of time. But after that, it was a turning point in after 7 years or 8 years of my marriage, when the only thing that was going was my All India radio concerts. So I used to record for them twice a year at that time. So I used to come to Chennai, record that and go back. But even that used to be such an effort, carrying the children, coming by train, and so much second class I've traveled with the children. And when I think of all that now, I always, the comfort that we enjoy now and how I travel by air. But it was so much fun at that time, coming by train all the way. The kids, every time it used to stop at Maniachi, I remember my son used to say, okay, now where was Vanchinathan? And then I'll have to cook up a story and say Vanchinathan was there. And then Jackson Dore was here, and recreate that entire story. And there used to be, when we traveled through Kovilpatti, there used to be peacocks dancing on near the tracks. That was a beautiful memory in my mind. And that is how I just kept in touch with music. It was All India Radio. When I got I remember when I got married, my mother's only ambition was I should be an All India Radio grade artist. She said, if you're an All India Radio grade artist, you will not leave music for some reason. At least it will be sticking to you somewhere. So that was the only aim with which we were traveling at that time. So turning a professional and all, it was absolutely God's will, I must say. Like I always say, Shyama Sastri's parents, nobody was a musician. So even somebody as great as that had come from a non-musical background. So I always keep thinking we should work hard. And if I'm able to inspire people from non-musical background to work and, make a mark in this field, I will be happy. That will give me a lot of happiness. So that is how it happened, And then suddenly a person from Nellai Sangeeta Sabha, my husband is an eye surgeon, so he came to him for treatment. And my husband said, my wife used to sing. He said, how can you say used to? You are the person who should encourage her. And so this man said, she will sing a concert in Nellai Sabha. I was mad. I said, I have not practiced for so many years. Sorry?
That is where the next question was leading to.
Yeah, tell me.
So the next, sorry to interfere in what you were talking, but that was just about the next question. So since those train journeys to Chennai and back to where you were staying, and since your children had grown up a little bit, after that, your musical journey since then is actually public knowledge about how you shot to fame, etc. But you believed, and you have said so on many occasions, that the concerts at Nellai Sabha, Sangeeta Sabha, and the concert for the Skanda Shashti festival of the Krishna Gana Sabha, where your very first firm few stepping stones. So my question was what you were about to answer. I'm sorry about that, but how do you look back on them? And are there any anecdotes that you remember regarding those. And then I have a subsidiary question just to, because it was the Skanda Shashti festival that launched you big time. Do you have any bias towards Skanda or compositions on Lord Murugan?
Yeah, and so this is again, I don't know, I'm talking so much about myself because of this question. I'm sorry, but
No, that's where we are. That's what we want to hear.
anyway, so this person from Nellai Sabha, his name was Nateshan. Sri Nateshan came and told my husband, and then I was mad. Then my husband gave an SOS to my mother. See, before my marriage, I was already singing a few concerts, and I had already been singing in the festival in Chennai and all that. So lots of people in Chennai were disappointed that I was not taking this seriously, and the critics like Shri K.S. Mahadevan and Yagniraman Mama of Krishna Gana Sabha, all of them were a little disappointed that I was staying away from music. So they were in continuous touch with the family, and they kept asking what I was doing and things like that. So once this Nellai Sabha concert got over, for which it was a month's preparation, my mother had to come over, take care of the children, and I had to work overtime, and getting back was not easy at all. So, but still, it became a turning point, because after that, every conceivable temple festival around Tirunelveli, I was singing. And Angala in that belt of Tamil Nadu, the concerts happened late after the Utsavam. That is, every kacheri will start after 9:30, 10. I even remember singing a concert that started from 11 and went on to 1 in Nagarkoil. So that also used to be a big challenge, carrying the children, taking all your stuff. And then for each kacheri, I had to have my mother or somebody come and help my husband, because they were very small. There are so many anecdotes about that. There was one concert in which my son ran to the stage. I thought he was going to come and sit in my lap. But then there was a sofa right behind me. I remember he went and sat in that sofa through the concert. And all those kind of, why I'm saying this is because these are things now, when I'm singing in a professional level in Chennai and other places and around the world. But there are these kind of incidents that are in my life that I can never forget. It was such
Beautiful
fun.
memories created.
Really. And then, of course, as you said, we got a call from Yagniraman Mama at that point of time. And he told my mother, ask her to come and sing in the Kanda Shashti Villa. And my mother said, she's not very keen about coming back to Chennai, because she does not know whether she can manage this level of concerts at this point of time. He said, no, hardly 10 people will come. Ask her to think that it is a practice concert. Tell her to come. But that was really a turning point, because I started really working very hard. And fortunately for me, I had a lot of repertoire with Muthuswami Dikshitar on Lord Muruga, because we had my guru and had joined one other musician for a few concerts before my marriage. So on Muthuswami Dikshitar on Muruga, that was the topic. So there were a lot of compositions that I could touch on with just Muthuswami Dikshitar as the presiding composer in the concert. So yes, and so what happened was I got so nervous, and I had to leave for Chennai the next day, and my throat went on to a complete mode where it was not working at all. It just jammed. And suddenly somebody turned up and they said, I have one seat and I'm leaving for Tiruchendur. Does anybody want to come? And so my husband said, you better go, because you can pray to Lord Muruga and come. So we went to Tiruchendur, and very miraculously, immediately my voice opened up. And I still believe that I have Tiruchendur Murugan Prasadam with me all the time. And as you know, in Sri Subramanya Mam Rakshatu, Muthuswami Dikshitar talks about the Patra Vibhuti and the greatness of this Patra Vibhuti in the Todi Kirtana. And that is what actually helped me. And then the concert went off well by God's grace. And then there was no looking back. And that's why I always say my coming back to Chennai as a concert performer, Yagniraman Mama played a big role. And people like Shri K.S. Mahadevan Mama, I will never be able to forget. Hamsadwani, they actually, these are the organizations like Anadaimbam, Shri S.P. Krishnan Mama. So they were the ones very, very keen about my coming back to Chennai as a performer, and I should never forget that journey.
Yeah. GV, if you don't mind, can we have a demo on any Muruga Kriti, please?
Sure. I will sing a morning, something that suits the morning. So I will take Senapati Mampalaya. This is also on Lord Muruga of Tiruchendur, where he's the Senapati. You know the story behind that. He's the one who vanquished the Asuras there. So. Senapate Palayamam Senapate Palayamam Sanmuni Ganadi Pujita Nandakara Senapate Palayamam Sanmuni Ganadi Pujita Nandakara Senapate Palayama Kanaka Kundala Shobhita Sundara Kanaka Kundala Shobhita Sundara Shrinavanandana Diyuta Dhira Pranavopatesha Guru Guhakara Manikya Makutadhara Karunakara Sena You want me to finish the song, or is this fine?
If you don't mind, and if you are willing to demo for many of this thing, then we'll keep moving.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. There are so
many Tamil compositions also on Lord Muruga that I love. There are so many Tirupugars that I love. Like Agaramumagi, Atipanumagi, Adigamumagi, Agamagi. And because we spoke about this, there is this Iyalisai Iluchita, which is about the Tiruchendur Murugan, which actually at one point of time I used to sing it as the closing piece for every concert of mine because that's how beautiful it is. I'll quickly sing a few lines there. Iyalisai Iluchita Vanji Kayarvahi Iravu Pagal Manad Sindi Turalade. I will, in fact, let us use this as the closing piece when we finish today. So and I will sing that for you again. Yes.
Wonderful, ma'am. So nice to hear you. So the next thing we would like to know from you is also related to the concert, actually. So you have said many times that each concert is like an exam.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every singer agrees with that statement.
Absolutely.
But what is your take on singing very rare kritis or ragams as opposed to time-tested, ever-popular, evergreen ones?
Yeah.
And do you have any examples to contrast with them?
Yes, because as I believe Women Semangudi Mama used to say that before every concert he used to be so tensed up and so nervous. And I've heard that he used to keep walking up and down all the time. And so even for somebody who has put in so many years of experience into concert singing, it is still, I wouldn't call it exactly an examination as such, because we do prepare for the concert and we are preparing all the time. As musicians, we are doing our sadhana and we are practicing and we are at it most of the time at a professional level, that is. But still, there are so many variables. One biggest variable, of course, is the voice, and it needs to cooperate. And if it is an instrument, there are so many times when the instrument should cooperate. It's not easy, and the mics, everything in an auditorium, all those variables are there. Other than that, even our memory. Sometimes even the song that we know most we've been singing every day. We would have sung it even that morning. Sometimes we can forget a line in that song. So these variables are always there. Therefore, I always feel that the divine grace should pervade through the concert. And if that is there, then a concert is successful. Having said that, there are some time-tested ragas that really help during a concert. For instance, I always feel that beginning a concert with Natai helps, or one of the first ragas, if it is some raga like Pantuvarali, even Hamsanadam, these kind of ragas which are very free flowing and are very easy on the voice, those kind of ragas as a first ragam in the concert, when you're elaborating a raga alapana, that is very, very helpful. And so in case you gone prepared with some ragam and you are not confident that the voice is going to move that way, or if you're not confident that the mic is not right, if you've still not settled down into the concert, sometimes the entire team will settle in the next 2 seconds of the concert, but sometimes it takes 1 or 2 songs. So you never know what is going to happen that particular day, and you'll have to innovate and reinvent yourself for every concert. So in those times, these are the kind of ragas that really come to your rescue. And I am very biased with Pantuvarali in the first half of a concert. If you want the voice to warm up nicely, and that's of course it's good to warm up the voice before you go to the concert. I've heard that Hindustani musicians, some of the great musicians, they practice inside the green room for an hour before they come on stage. And I heard that MS Amma used to do that regularly. And I'm sure great musicians of the past have done that, done some warm-up exercises at home, practiced a little bit before they go to the stage. But still these variables are there. And yes, coming to the other question about some difficult ragas, it is, we always also practice those kind of ragas. But let us say we are taking a ragam which is a Vivadi ragam, or some ragam which is not a Sampurna raga, one of the Janya ragas, which are maybe with a Vakra Prayogam, or they are not symmetric. It could be a ragam which is different in the Aroganam and different in the Avaroganam, the scale. So those kind of ragas definitely need a lot of practice. And on stage, we have to be careful. For this, if you want me to give a tip to the students, it is very good to practice these ragas in a swara base of beginning initially, and then move on to akaram with the same raga. For instance, let us take an example. Let us take a ragam like Salaka Bhairavi, which is one of my favorites. So sarima pada sa ni da pa magari sa. So the Avaroganam is Sampurnam. So in this kind of ragam, sa ni da pada ri sa ni da pa ma pada ma pa magari sa ni da sarima gari sarima pada da ni da pa magari. Sari sari magari sani da pa da sari magari sari ma pa da ni da pa magari sani da sari ma pa da. And then when you're working on this, like the one composition that we all know is Padavini, right, of Tyagaraja Swami. So Padavini Sadbhakti Yogal Gude Tadaranam Padavini Tadaranam Sarimapa. He's giving you an immediate reference to the raga there. That is what I find about these great composers. The way they weave the raga into the composition, they are almost trying to give us a clue there, everywhere in the Varnams. Of course, we all know that the Varnams are replete with these raga and the raga bhavas. But compositions like these, which by great maestros like Tyagaraja Swami and the Trinity and other great composers, they are a clue. They give us clues everywhere. Like Padavini Sadbhakti Yo Sativi Veda Suptadara So Zarima Padada. For these kind of ragas, it is good to keep practicing akaram and swaram side by side, so that at one point of time the swaram just goes into as an akaram into your head, and then you sing the right notes. But it's also again very, very, very important for the guru to help them with these kind of ragas, and the students to refer all these ragas to their gurus, and to listen to a lot of these kind of ragas.
Beautiful, beautiful explanation. So, remaining on the concert topic itself, ma'am, what is your take on the manodharmam aspect called swaram singing? I mean, what I mean is your take on singing very calculated carvais singing versus a free flow of the sarvalaghu.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So initially, it's always better for the students to start practicing Sarvalaghu. This is again my opinion. And the way I would suggest to my students is that they practice Sarvalaghu Swarams. As you all, as students would know, Sarvalaghu Swarams are the king and the master of Sarvalaghu Swarams has always been Sri Madhuramani Iyer. And yes, I'm sure as students, you have all been listening to Sri Madhuramani Iyer, and your teachers have referred you to listen to him. There is an unimaginable flow about the way he sings the Sarvalaghu. So the Sarvalaghu is without any calculation as such, but that doesn't mean the Sarvalaghu is very easy. It is in fact more difficult than singing a calculated swaram. It is very easy to see, for instance, it's very easy to sing something like that. If you want to sing 3 5s or 3 6s, we'll come to that on how we can practice that and how we can go for that. But before that, Sarvalaghu Swaram is very important. So we will take an example of some raga. Let us take Mohanam. Ga 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 ri ri ga ri ri ga ri ga ba ga ri sa dha pa da sa ri ga 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 ri sa ri ga pa da sa da pa ga ri sa ri ri ga ga ba da sa da pa ga ba da sa da pa ga ri sa da sa ri ga ga. So the way to practice here is, first you will have definitely to use carvais. Ga ga ri sa dha pa da sa ri ga ba ga ga. And the varnam here is one of the most beautiful examples for us, because it is in the tanam style. So tam ta tam ta 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 ka tam ta ta sa ri ga ga sa ga ri sa ri ri ga ga ri ri ta num ta num ta. I think that's one of the reasons it's called a Tana Varnam also. So there you get the clue for these kind of swaram singing. So ga pa da ba ga ri sa ri ga ba da sa da pa ga ri sa ri ga pa da ba ga ri sa sa. So first, when the student starts practicing, it is good for them not to fix it into talam. Just go by the Sarvalaghu, so it can just be free flowing. And or you can even practice without a talam. So gari sa ri ga ba da pa gari sa ri ga pa da sa da pa gari sa ri ri ga ga ba da ba da ga da ba da ga da ba gari sa ri ga ga. So this kind of flow is very, very important for us to establish this initially. It is very important, and it is good to keep practicing this without, and then you come to a point where you sing without kave. Gari sa ri ga ba da ga da ba gari sa ri ga ba da sa ri ga ri sa da ba gari sa. So no carves. I'm not elongating a swaram anywhere. So gari sa ri ga ga. That's the first step. Then gari sa ri ri ga gari ri sa ri ga ri sa ri sa da. Here is where our janta versa is, adatu versa is. Sada ba gari sa ri ri ga ga pa da sa pa da ga pa gari. So jumping swaras. So we have practiced, right? All the janta verses, the dhatu verses. As I keep saying again and again, they are the basic lessons that are given to us by Sri Purandaradasar are the clue for everything that we will be doing later in our career, or as musicians or students of music. Therefore, they are very important to be practiced every day, actually. And so these are the clues that he has given us. So here for the Sarvalaghu, we use Janta Prayogams, we use Dhatu Prayogams, and all of them. And from there, it is good for the student to start practicing 3 5s, 3 6s, 3 7s. So, gari sa da pa ri sa da pa ga sa da pa gari in this tada. Same way, for instance, if you want to do it for Rupaga Tala, gari sa da pa ri sa da pa ga sa da pa gari. So every talam that has to be practiced. Gari sada pa re sada pa ga sada pa gari. And then from there, the student has to practice sixes. Gari sada pa re sada pa ga sada pa gari. 3 before.
Beautiful.
Gari sada pa re sada pa ga sada pa gari. Then they go to 8. Then they go to 9. So basic, all the thalams, if they start practicing these first. So you get one tirmanam, which is sure that you can place. And then from there you go on to making small core wise, which again is another beautiful, what do I say, area by itself.
Yes.
And so in my mind, I feel this has to be a combination of both. In a kacheri of a musician, a lot of Sarvalogu will give a lot of peace of mind to the listeners. But at the end, a tirmanam, or it has become a norm also. Sometimes I feel our the audience and everybody, for everybody to join in a crescendo has become important in concerts now. And because of that trend, it's good for us to know some good core wise and sing it in the end. That way, everybody feels there is a participation. The other artists know what you're going to do, because generally when you start a core way, they know where you're heading, because that's how they are trained. As I always say, our accompanists who are performing along with us, they know more than us because they've accompanied so many other artists and they have to be prepared for any style. And therefore, they will join us. And then the audience also joins us. And then there is a crescendo. That's how I feel a core way helps in a concert. But a combination of both is very, very important.
Thank you, ma'am. It was wonderful. I mean, it's a lesson for the students, actually, a take-home lesson from this. And remaining on the concert topic, we had so many things to ask you, and there are so many other questions also to ask you, but probably we'll reserve that for a later time. And now, please, may I invite my colleague, Srimati Jyoti, to ask you her questions from her points of view also. May I, Jyoti?
Thank you so much, Shanti ji. I was actually in a different world listening to Gayathri ma'am's singing and so much packed with information. Thank you so much for all the information.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my first question, actually my first few questions is based on your lineage, your, I mean, with the gurus, training with the gurus.
Yeah.
And then slowly I also have few other questions. So first question is on the Patantram and the training with your gurus. So like you touched upon for the very first question, you had been learning from several gurus. So how did you, was it a bit of a challenge with the different Patantrams? And if it was, how did you overcome that? Or was it actually complementing each other? So can you please explain a little bit?
The reason that I had to move to Sundareshan Mama was because of Padma Mami's illness. And Padma Viraghavan Mami had laid a very, very strong foundation, especially in my listening to great legends. She was a multifaceted personality, and it was very interesting to work with her. It was not just music. I learned so much from her. Her zest for life, for instance. There was one incident when I said, I did not know that beetle leaf came from a creeper. I thought it was like any other plant. And when I said, oh, this comes from this kind of creeper. And I remember she took me to a beetle farm just to show that. That is the kind of passion she had with everything. And I used to stay with her in Uppaliyappan Kovil every summer for a month. It was almost like a Gurukulam for me there. And we used to go to the temple every day. And those are the things that I don't know. I feel that has been a very important journey for me in my spiritual journey. My father and my mother, and the way their spirituality and my gurus' religious pursuits, they've helped me a lot. They've helped shape my mind in very, very different ways. So, of course, she introduced me to, she was KVN Mama's disciple, and I've been with her very often to her classes to see Mama. And it has been a fantastic experience for me to see him in close quarters. And sometimes Sai Bhajans that happened in Mami's house, in KVN Mama's house, those were the beautiful occasions that I will never forget in my life. And Sundareshan Mama was, of course, Ramnath Krishnan's disciple. He also learned a bit from Alatur Subayar. So that was the lineage I moved on to. And he was very, very, just like Padma Mami was a multifaceted personality and could show me so many different things. She was a painter, she was a Veena, she was a Vainika, and she had so much zest for life. Sundareshan Mama, on the contrary, was very, very focused about about the Trinity, about his compositions, writing notations. He was very close to TMT sir and also to Sri P.S. Narayana Swami sir. And so those influences and their friendship, and yeah, as soon as TMT Mama wrote a notation, it used to come to Sundareshan Mama and he would teach us. And it was unforgettable, his classes. When he talked about Shyama Sastri, he would be weeping when he taught us some compositions. So that kind of passion he had about the Trinity and the composers. So it really was complementary, because I moved on from one area where I learned about some great people and how passionate they were about their music. And here I am with Sundareshan Mama, who infused so much of discipline in my mind about these composers and about the way these compositions had to be rendered. And then of course Sundareshan Mama passed away, and way back about 8-9 years back. And his greatest friend, Sri P.S. Narayan Swami Mama, four of us disciples of Sri A.S. Mama, we were under P.S.N. Mama's guidance from that time, and that's how it has been going. P.S.N. Mama, as you all know, is one of the greatest gurus, because he is just so giving and he's so encouraging, right? You would have noticed that in all his students and how he lets them grow on their own. So that has been a beautiful journey again. I'm only so thankful that I was able to assimilate from all these great people. It's been a great journey.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Gayathri ma'am. Another question is, I read in one of your articles that Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi as your Manasika Guru. So how did M.S. Amma influence your singing?
For this, Jyoti ji and Shanti ji, I have to ask you one question. Is there anybody that M.S. Amma has not influenced?
Very true.
So
That's
true.
Right. Right.
So
Because
true.
I think we all grew up starting our day with her music. That has
Vishnu
always been my memory. My father, one thing about my father was he was very, very insistent that I should listen only to Carnatic music. And the way I used to get up was listening to MS Amma's Suprabhatam and other, we had the LP tape. There was no TV in our house. And so inevitably, every night there used to be national program at 10 o'clock in the night at that time, All India Radio. He would switch on the radio and put it near my ears when I was lying down. I used to be so angry. Sometimes I would shut my ears like this. And but I am thinking now, such an invaluable gift that my father's given me, that gift of listening at that point of time. And so MS Amma has always been an influence, and she was like a devata in my life. And when I was around 7 years old, I think it was Srimati Sita Ravi's marriage, if I'm right. I was taken to the marriage, and MS Amma saw me, and you know how she is with everybody, right? She used to make everybody who had the fortune to be seen by her. She made everybody feel special. That was the thing about her. So she asked, "Oh, in the konda paduma?" And my mother said, "Yes, she sings, and she sings some of the songs that you sing." So MS Amma said, "What do you know that I sing?" Then I sat down there in that Kalyana Mandapam, and I remember I sang Sriman Narayana for her in Bauli. And I don't know, I must have made mistakes and it may not have been perfect. But I remember how she hugged me and how she interacted with me after that, and she blessed me. And from that time, it's been a journey of love, total adoration. I still have MS Amma all over the house. And when I keep flowers for all the deities, I keep a flower for her also every day. So for me, I think she's been a guru for so many people in the world. At any point of time, somewhere in the world, somebody is listening to her. That is what I feel. And all the gods are listening to her everywhere, from Badrinath to Rameshwaram. If you see in India, every temple, Trimala, God wakes up to her music. So I think she is a very, very special person. I know there have been great musicians. I am also very influenced by Sri MLV Amma. All these great people have influenced me a lot, and I've listened to a lot of her concerts. But yes, MS Amma, for her bhavam and bhakti, I hope 1% of her nature and of music, if I'm able to imbibe, I'll be very happy.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Then my next question is actually, I'll touch upon that. You spoke about spirituality. So I have been listening to your recent episodes of Carnatic Journey. I think that's your latest project on YouTube. So I have been listening to all your episodes, and I should say, all the episodes are not only musically uplifting, it's also spiritually uplifting to me personally. And also I admire the way you weave across so many complicated concepts and present it in a much simpler way, so that even a beginner student is able to understand. Really, that's something I really admire in all the episodes. Especially the one on the last two episodes, I believe, is on immortal composers, right? So that was very, very really spiritually uplifting, because you talked about not only the musical aspects, you talked a lot about the spiritual aspects too. So so my next question is actually based on the composers. Not only composers, it's also about the theoretical aspects. So this might be, if you can just explain or advise the importance of learning the theoretical aspects of the compositions and about the composers themselves before learning the composition. I think if you can give a little explanation, that will benefit the student, viewers, and everyone actually.
Yeah. I must thank you for your kind words on a Carnatic Journey, ACJ. This has been a pet project in my mind for many, many years. The reason being, I'm a first generation musician, and I've had great difficulty in deciphering some of these concepts, and in trying to understand in a fashion that, nobody really tries to completely simplify this for us. And it becomes Carnatic music as such. The way people see it is that it is very complicated, and you have to understand so much to hear Carnatic music or learn Carnatic music. But I would like to break that myth in many ways, because this music is so, so very uplifting. And it is my strong belief that a Rasika does not need to know anything to come into a Carnatic music concert. And I feel very strongly that a Rasika who comes into a Carnatic concert like that benefits most, because they do not have to tag their head with these ragas and the talas and what is going on. I have sat in concerts like that when I was a kid. So many concerts I've sat in the last row, not knowing what was going on, but just being totally moved to a different plane. And even after that, as a student of music, I remember a concert of KVN Mama when I sat in Naradagana Sabha. I can even tell you which chair I sat on for that concert. And he sang Kiravani Alapana. I did not know it was Kiravani Alapana at that point of time, but I remember weeping and weeping. My eyes were filled with tears for that. And those are some things I will never forget. And I would say that is what Carnatic music can do to you. It can move you from the soul. And that is the journey that I would like all Rasikas and musicians and students to understand and take, because there is, whatever said and done, this music is very spiritual, and the composers have meant it to be spiritual. Of course, there have been lots of ragas in existence, pre-existence, before the compositions came back. And yes, at that time, maybe it was just not tied down to idols. But again, even after the compositions came, I will still say that each raga has a swarupa of its own. You can imagine it to be anything you want, but it is a spiritual entity. It need not be a particular god or a devata or something like that, but it's just that spiritual connect, that light that guides you in each raga. That's very important. And coming to the composers, ACJ, as you know, a Carnatic Journey, we started it off in a very different way. I just thought I will give one or two episodes to simplify certain concepts. But then I started receiving a lot of messages and mails and many calls from many people saying, can you explain this? Can you explain that? And I realized that there was a need here to probably demystify a few things. A lot of people have already done it, I accept. And a lot of material is available in the net, and very good material at that. And but at the same time, everything in one place. So the journey is that somebody wants to know about Carnatic music can log into a Carnatic journey in my YouTube channel and get to know certain aspects in the same. It's all in the same place. That is what we decided, and I'm very fortunate that a small team has formed, and they are all so passionate about a Carnatic journey. Lovely young people, including Anagana. You would have seen that she's so much part of this, and Rambhadrananna, and my family, of course, and my students, and many other friends, some of my cousins. Everybody is so passionate about this. So that is how we are able to present this to you. From immortal composers, yes. What I wanted to, answering Jyoti man's question a little more clearly, all our composers have had a spiritual journey. Whether it is through an deity or whether it is through these ragas, they have seen the spiritual side of Carnatic music, and their lives, the way they led their lives, gives us a clue into each of their compositions. So if you take Tyagaraja Swami, you know that he was the compositions that he has composed, they go through a varied myriad of emotions, so many emotions. You can see the Navabhida Bhaktis there, Navarasas there, all the compositions. That shows that he lived a normal life. He lived a life like any of us. He had his moment of anger, he had his moment of love, he had his moment of hasyam, he had his moment of anger or sarcasm. Everything was there. But everything for him finally led to Rama. Every emotion led to Rama, or the deity he was composing on. He's of course composed on Devi, he's composed also on Shiva, we know that. But it is that thread of devotion that is going on constantly. If you take Annamaya, that complete surrender he had towards Lord Venkateshwara and the way he composed his life, how does that help us? So the history of these people, of these composers, is very important, and it gives us a very important clue on how to handle their compositions, because it is borrowed property, right? We are not paying royalty for singing any of these compositions. None of these composers are benefiting because we are singing their compositions. We are getting some fame, we are getting some joy, we are able to sing it in a competition, a presentation, or a concert, right? So how do we repay to these composers? Only by understanding their lives, their histories, and understanding that this is probably, it's a probability, but it is a good probability that if we know their lives, we will understand on how to sing their compositions. I hope this answers your question. Is there some other area you want me to touch?
Yes, it is. It's really beautiful. You beautifully explained, and I think it will. It reinforces the fact that every student, everyone, every musician should know about the composer before learning the composition. My next question is actually if you can demo any rare composition of one of the pre-trinities.
Okay, of the pre-trinity composers. Okay.
Yes.
Somebody, I think, has asked for Annamaya. Maybe it's not rare, but it's one of my favorite compositions. Is it okay?
Sure.
If I sing one bit of that?
Yes, ma'am.
भावयामि गोपालबालं मनसेवितं तत्पदं चिन्तयेयं सदा भावयामि गोपालबालं बालं मनसेवितं तत्पदं चिन्तयेयं तदा भावयामि गोपाल बालम्. Of course, there are many compositions that of Annamaya and Bhadrachala Ramadasa, which have come and seen the light of the day and become very popular in concert circuits because of great musicians of even our generation. We have seen Sri Nedanuri sir's all his tunes, Gayathri Venkataraghavan. They have seen great musicians who have come and composed all these tunes for all these beautiful compositions. There are so many Bhadrachala Ramadasa compositions and Annamaya compositions which are rare. And there are, for instance, I love MS Amma's one composition I don't think I've heard outside at all much. सर्वोपायमुन जगतिन कीतडे उर्बिदरुडु पुरुषोत्तमुडितडे सर्वोपायमुन. And there are so many Bhadrachala Ramadasa compositions that even our musicians like Sri Maladi Suribabu sir has tuned so many beautiful compositions, and we were fortunate to learn some of them in a workshop recently in Chennai. There are so many that we can list out.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So with this, I think I will ask Shanti ji to take over for a few more questions I think she has.
When Jyoti was actually speaking, there was another interesting question that came to my mind because both of you, we were all discussing about composers. Similarly, ma'am, what is the importance, or do you think it is important at all that one should know about the context where the Kriti was written, or the anecdote associated with this, or the legend of the temple deity on which this particular Kriti was composed?
Yeah.
So do you think it's very important to know that?
If it is a Muthuswami Dikshitar composition, then it's very straightforward, because they're like a painter or like an essay writer. He has given you the entire description of the place, the deity. And so you probably, there are many places. For instance, when you enter Chidambaram, you will think of Ananda Natana Prakasham and how he has described the Lord there. And the mind immediately goes to such compositions. And yes, it is very, very important for us to know. It's not probably possible for us to know in what context each of these kritis were created, because very unfortunately, I feel, though much of these compositions have been handed down to us from history by their great disciples and their Sishya Parampara, still the history part of it is missing in much of our musical history, I say. It's not written down very clearly. So it's all hazy. We don't know, for instance, in what occasion Tyagaraja Swami actually wrote the Pancharatna Kirtanas. We have heard that a great composer, one of his contemporaries from Kerala, he Shatkala Govindamar, if I'm right. That the story goes that he met Tyagaraja Swami and he sang a composition in Shatkala, all the 6 kalas. And Tyagaraja Swami was, and he sang a very difficult Pallavi. And it is said that Tyagaraja Swami was so amazed at this that he immediately said, Yandaro Mahanubavalu, Andariki Vandanamu. There are so many great Mahanubavulus. That is what the story goes. It's not Karna Parambara. We've only heard it. But we don't know. The veracity of this we cannot test. Therefore, in my opinion, we can sometimes the Kriti itself gives us a clue on the mind of the composer, or what might have been in their mind when they composed this particular composition. If you take Manasai Edulotu Durne, you know that there is an advice mood here. He's telling the mind, oh mind, I know an easy way. Kalilo Rajasa Tamasa Gunamula. See, kuncham raise panna. కలిలో రాజసతామస గుణములు గలవారి చెలిమి కలసి మెలసి తిరుపుచు మరి కాలము కడపగలే. Your kalam is going, your time is going with all this rajasa guna, tamasa guna. Sulabhamuka katateranu sujana nanu teliyadesi. There is an easy way, and I will tell you that. I know that easy way. I will tell you that. He says this is coming in the charanam, and then you have to examine the composition. Tyagaraja Swami is like a master management consultant. You would notice in many of his compositions, he goes like a. I would give this example of his Varali Pancharatnam. Please examine it and see how beautifully he arranges everything. I hope I'm able to do this in my ACJ at some point of time. There in this Kirtana, for instance, he comes back to the Anupallavi. There he says, Durne na dinakara kula bhushanuni deenudavai bhajana jesi. So the answer comes in the Anupallavi. So dinakara kula bhushanuni, who is Lord Rama, deenudavai bhajana jesi. You do his bhajana. You be in the constant contemplation of Lord Rama. And for all the problems of this Kali, that is the solution. So the Kirtana itself gives you the answer, his mindset. Probably he's telling somebody that, oh, I don't be immersed in all this. Why don't you get into the contemplation of Lord Rama? That will save you from all this. It is like a conversation he's having with us. So that connect we have to understand. That for that we need to start examining the composition. It's very difficult, especially with languages we do not know, right? For instance, I'm not Telugu literate, but after a few hundred compositions, Tyagaraja will slowly start revealing even the language to you.
Yes.
He's such a master. And of course, there is enough material now for us. We are in a generation where we can take out a book. We can, the minute Google gives us an answer to everything. Google seems to be the bigger guru than everybody else now to everyone. But at the same time, it is very important for us to refer these things to somebody who knows the language and to learn from them. It's a constant process now. It's a constant process. We are constantly learning, constantly understanding these things. But it's very important for us to understand the mindset of the composer. For instance, Shyama Sastry, the total surrender. How he lived his life will give us a clue there. So I think it's very, very important.
No, at least understand the meaning of the lyrics.
Yes.
Before
meaning, and if possible, word-to-word meaning will help us a lot. For us to give us stress. For instance, in this composition, coming back to this, Dinakara kula bhushanuni deenudavai bhajana jesi. There, your stress is more. I found the answer. Look, this is the answer. So there is an excitement there. So that has to come in the voice, right? So that bhavam can come only with understanding the composition and the word-to-word meaning. It's very important.
Ma'am, with your permission, and if you are okay with it, can we talk to you for a few more minutes? Do you mind?
I'm fine, so long as it's fine for everybody who's
awesome.
watching it.
Okay, so we have a few questions that might be very useful for students in particular. So just your take on it, because you're a very senior artist. So what is your take on this long distance learning using modern technology versus an actual face-to-face learning with an eminent guru, face-to-face session?
Yeah. This is a very beautiful question, because I always believe that the face-to-face is very, very important. So even if a student is going to do a long distance learning from a guru, I would suggest that they meet the guru, have several sessions with them at regular intervals in a face-to-face way, because the small gestures from a guru can answer so many questions that long distance learning can never teach. The interaction face-to-face is, according to me, very, very important. But given the conditions now, especially the lockdown and the fact that distances are a big, I know how challenging distances are in a place like America and in a city like Dallas and other cities, Texas, especially, I know the distances. So I understand that we have to use modern technology for this. But the smallest excuse you get to go meet your guru, I think you should do that. That is what I would
ma'am.
say.
Thank you, ma'am. That's another big lesson for the students. So again, from their perspective, from their point of view, and we all know that in the modern times as well as regularly, academics is very, very important.
Yeah.
Many artists of today, including you're very highly qualified academically with multiple degrees in varied subjects. How did you manage to strike a balance between school or college work and practice routines for music? I'm sure Jyoti will nod in agreement when I say that we have been told many times by our students, ma'am, we couldn't practice today because we had too much homework.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you can attain something very good in music, or even if it is a bhakti bhavam, only with intense and rigorous practice routines, dedicated and practice routines to bring you up to a certain good degree. So, so how did you manage, or how do you think that what advice would you give the students?
Yeah, this is again a very beautiful question, and I'm one of the major reasons for us to do this Carnatic journey, ACJ with GV. That was one of the main reasons. You know what happens when I travel, and Shanti ji, we meet lots of parents and students. Parents sometimes are clueless. They want to educate their children in our classical arts, but they actually do not know what is going on. And then the student says, oh, I was taught this, and they come home and they learn something, and they're done with it because they have other listening to do. They want to listen to other genres of music. They want to see movies. There are so many things going on. They have friends who are doing other things, and so the challenge is, for them to be part of that genre, that friend, the group among their friends, and be able to converse with them. Oh, I saw the serial, and they should be able to say, yeah, this happened in that serial. I totally understand, and I totally empathize, and I understand what's going on, because I have so many kids of that age who are my good friends, and they keep talking to me about all this. That was one of the reasons we started ACJ, actually, because I wanted parents also to understand the intensity of what is going on in classical music, and that will in turn help the teachers who are teaching these students. That was another reason for a Carnatic journey. So in my opinion, these as you know, I have done a few other things. I've been into commerce and economics and business administration and stuff, but at that time I did not know I was going to become a full-time musician. Had I known, my journey would have been very different. I would have learned Sanskritam right in the beginning. I would have taken my Veena more seriously, and there would have been, my journey would have been a little different. My guru, in fact, when I did my PG, my guru came home, Sundareshan Mama, and he wept. He said, give me that time. Don't go into studying something. Give me that time, and I will give you so much more. I did not realize at that point of time that this is the journey I was going to take. And but having said all that, we still can find a lot of time for music in our lives. For children in the America, especially, I've noticed that you travel a lot in the car to different places. Maybe not now in the lockdown period, but generally you do. So I feel your phones should always be loaded with lots of Carnatic. Great legends. Please refer to your gurus. They will give you a list on whom you should listen to. Do some dedicated listening. If, let us say, you're learning a composition in Sri Ranjani, take your guru's help and find out what are the Sri Ranjanis that they want you to listen to. Make a list of that. Put that into your phone. And for this, you need to interact with your gurus, and you need to understand what you should listen to. And it's a constant thing. For students, I would like to tell you, your mind should start working in such a way that when you're not doing something else, your mind is singing, your mind is into Carnatic music. And it will be very nice if you listen to more of Carnatic music. If you're listening to all genres, make 80% Carnatic music, because that is what you're working on. This is such a divine art, and it requires a lot of hard work. And so if you're able to give it that time, your gurus will be able to help you better. This is all I can.
What a beautiful advice to all the students who are listening now and who will listen later. And then if I may briefly, again, for the sake of students and for teachers like us who are singing every day and straining our voices and things like that. So I just have one question, if you don't mind. Let's also talk about the so-called other side. What I meant by other side, or what I mean by other side is, say, for example, you have a bad cold, or you have a severe allergy on a particular day, on a concert day, or your voice is just strained, you're simply tired due to travel or something like that. How do you deal with such situations? Would you prefer to cancel a performance, or would you try to select kritis very judiciously for that day? And if so, can you demo something? If your voice is bad, what do you do?
Yeah, yeah. This is a very beautiful question, Shantiji. I've had a very beautiful run as far as my voice goes. In fact, my guru, Sudarshan Mama, when I came back from my hiatus, and my voice was just the same way, even without much practice. And he said, this is God's gift, that you were able to just sing like that. And I don't have these problems generally of not being able to sing in the morning or at any time of the day. But again, I took this a little bit for granted. And I think you know that I also have passion of hiking and lots of walking. And so I like the outdoors so much. And in one such occasion, I was out in the cold in DC after a concert. And I also had a smoothie, though it was not cold, and it affected my voice. And I had a concert immediately. And my voice was in bad shape, but I couldn't cancel the concert because it was not in India. And that affected my voice for over a period of a month, actually. So if your voice is really, really in a bad state, and if you are able to read your voice and understand that it needs rest, I would suggest the voice needs rest. You need to go on complete Mauna Viratam and not sing, even if it means finding a replacement to sing your concert. And if some artist is good enough to replace you in the last minute, it is a good idea to do that. Having said that, how do we maintain our voice? That is the next question. One thing is to talk softly and not shout. At any point of time, when you shout, you strain your voice a lot. So even at home, people keep reminding me, they say, don't shout, we are right here, we are listening to you. So I've heard from Shri K.S. Mahadevan Mama again, that MS Amma used to talk a different way and she used to sing a different way. The way she talked, it used to protect her voice. So as teachers, we all do multiple things. We manage our families, we are teaching, we are singing concerts. So for us, the voice is a very important vehicle. It is like a vehicle that helps us to traverse the different octaves. So we need to maintain that vehicle very well. And we need to understand our voice. Each person has a very specific voice and they have to understand. I've seen it in the previous chat shows. I think Ram Prasad explained very beautifully. Ramaji also explained very beautifully on how we should preserve our voice and how we should understand our voice when we are practicing. That is very important. And if at all it is strained, saltwater gargling is very important. Steaming can do a lot of wonders. And I've noticed that some Ayurvedic medicines really help us. And more than anything is mental mindset. We have to be calm. And if we are able to stay calm, it helps the voice. If you've noticed, when you're angry or when you're emotional, the voice changes. So mental stability and keeping the meditation and a lot of pranayama can also help a lot. Again, and you asked me about the ragas that can be employed at such period. I already explained that Pantuvarali is my favorite that way. You try Pantuvarali any day. Your voice wants to warm up. Mayamala Gowda, that genre, it really helps. And even Shankarabharanam. Yes.
That's tremendously useful.
Maybe Tarasthai, you can avoid too much of Tarasthai because there's so much to be explored even in the Madhyasthai. And Mandrasthai, in a bad voice, Mandrasthai can affect it even worse. So you have to be very careful on how you do that.
Okay, one question from the viewer, actually, viewers who are watching. Yeah. One interesting question. When you start learning music, age is no restriction, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So what advice would you give to a person who starts learning when he is 30 or 40 or 50?
Beautiful question. Beautiful question.
Sorry, that's from the viewer, actually.
No. It is a very beautiful question. And I'm very happy to answer these kind of questions. Again, a Carnatic journey is for people like all of you. That is why I undertook that journey, because I have lots of people who want to know how they can learn post 30, 35. Carnatic music doesn't have an age.
Absolutely.
I know one person called Janaki Raman sir, who lives in Virginia, who had his Arangetram under Sri Flute Raman when he was 75 years old. And the flute is not an easy instrument. It requires so much of breath control, right? Such people are my inspiration. I know so many people who are learning post 40 and who are doing a fantastic job. Take it slowly. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the fact that you're learning a wonderful, beautiful, creative art. This is also for students. There is no race here. We don't have to learn 500 kritis. If we learn 100 kritis and if we learn that properly and sing it to our gurus, that is also a class, right? Singing to your guru what you have already learned and perfecting that. That is also a very important journey. Please remember that is also a class. That's what you need to understand when you're learning from your guru. So don't be in a rush to learn new things or wonder why you're going back into your old. We sing our akarams every day. So those who are learning above 40, I would suggest first you train your voice. If you're learning vocal, then train your voice. If you're learning your instrument, then train to different speeds in the instrument. The voice, it has to be trained for different sankatis. For instance, you are singing a sankati like Kadambari Priya. For all that, you know, you can make your own alankarams, you can make your own sarli varisais, whatever for that particular raga. So think. It's a very thinking art. That's
beautiful message, ma'am. The beautiful message in the sense that quality is much more important than quantity.
Yeah. We're always revisiting our compositions, right, Shanti ji and Jyoti ji?
Yes.
Even what we've learned already, after 15 years, sometimes you wonder, oh, why didn't I think of this in this composition? And you're relearning. It's very important.
Yes, that's so true. Okay, ma'am, we wanted to surprise you. So we are going to ask you a rapid fire round. Okay. May I mean, we do expect only the first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So what's your first song on a concert platform?
First song on a concert platform.
First ever.
First ever. I don't really remember. It might have been, I used to sing as a kid in all these Navaratri things. And those times I knew only few songs. Maybe it was Varana Mukava or some composition.
Hamsadvani, okay.
Hamsadvani, yes, definitely.
Your favorite playback singer?
MLV Amma.
Super answer.
Other than music. Oh, beautifully. Like,
yes. Other than music, what is your most favorite pastime?
Oh, sorry. Just go and listen to how she has sung that. Oh my God.
So beautiful. So other than music, what is your most favorite pastime?
Other than music, my favorite pastime, I read some books, some spiritually oriented books. And I think a few of you might know that I love trekking. And so I like to watch those kind of movies, like Free Solo is one of my favorites.
Oh God, okay. And my next question was to have been favorite ragam, but if I say Panturali, am I right?
No. Panturali, yes. No musician, Jyoti ji. Can you pick up one favorite raga of yours? That's quite impossible, right? So there are many favorites. I like Chalkesi. I love Todi. I like Kambodi. When I'm singing each raga, I like that raga. And when I'm hearing each raga, I love that raga.
Taking a cue from Jyoti's question, favorite composer, ma'am?
My favorite composer, I like almost all the great composers. It's very difficult for me to pick up a favorite composer here. The Trinity, Swati Tirunal, Annamaya, Bhadrachala Ramadas, all of them have been a turning point in my life. Each of their kriti has taught me something. That's a difficult question.
Favorite venue to sing at? Worldwide, I mean.
I loved singing in Riverside in Sydney, and then again Latvia. We sang in Latvia that it was for a very special concert. I'll tell you that when we have time. It was for Allusion Festival, and it was a very beautiful concert, which I will never forget in my life. It happened in a cathedral.
What's your most favorite place in the world to visit for a holiday, not for a concert? Sorry.
Very difficult. Just give me a second. Favorite place to visit for a holiday.
Okay, one of your favorite.
I like most of the places in Karnataka because it serves two purposes for me. One is it's very scenic, and another is I love all the temples there. So at the drop of a hat, we generally go to visit these temples and see some of these places. And I have such beautiful friends from all over the world. So I really can't pick. Everywhere there is a good friend is a favorite place for me.
That's a beautiful answer. Okay, with that beautiful note, I will actually hand you over to Jyoti again. But if we can hear the finale conclusion.
Yeah, I'll sing that Tiruppugal that I told you I used to sing all the time in all my concerts. I will do that. And great talking to you, Shantiji. It brings me back to Dallas and meeting all of you. Same here.
It's our blessing to get this opportunity to talk to a very great artist.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, will you be singing the finale now?
Yeah, I can do that. And I wanted to thank you for a lovely opportunity to meet all of you. And I think teachers like you, you're such a great asset to the community there. And the way you're spreading our culture and classical arts is something phenomenal. My pranams to all of you.
I will have to thank everyone, but I will do it after listening to you. I don't want to keep talking and interrupt your music. So that's why I was waiting for the
small Tiruppugal that I will sing for all of you. Okay. I like the message in this Tiruppugal. That is the last line of the Tiruppugal that I will come back to. இயலிசையில் உச்சித்த வஞ்சி கயர்வாகி இரவு பகல் மனது சிந்தி துழலாது இயலிசையில் உச்சித்த வஞ்சி கயர்வாகி இரவு பகல் மனது சிந்தி துழலாது உயர் கருணை புரியும் இன்ப கடல் மூழ்கி உனயனதுள்ளறியும் அன்பை தருவாயே மயிர் தகர்கல் இடையறந்த தினை காவல் வனசகுர மகளை வந்தித்தனை போனே கையிலை மலையனைய செந்தீர் பதிவாழ்வே கையிலை மலையனைய செந்தீர் பதிவாழ்வே கரிமுகவனிலய கந்த பெருமாளே கரிமுகவனிலய கந்த பெருமாளே உன்னையனதுள்ளறியும் அன்பை தருவாயே.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't know. I think it's a little more than 1 hour. I don't know how time went actually. It's so it has the time has come to thank everyone. So the first one I would like to thank is the main person of the show, that is you. Thank you.
I want to thank you all, and I want to say that when good friends meet, the time flies by.
You have given so many practical tips and advices and shared your knowledge with all of us. And I'm sure all the viewers and everyone would agree with me. So thank you so much for your time, bright and early in the morning, to spend some time with us and answering all our questions and helping us understand a lot more about the composers, ragas, and on teaching and learning and whatnot. Really, really a lot of information. Thank you so much. And I feel so fortunate to be here and talking to you with one of my very favorite artists. So I would really like to thank you and wish you good luck and best wishes for the Carnatic music journey. I wish you to have many more successful episodes, which will be very, very helpful to everyone across the globe, all musicians and students. Then I want to thank Indian Octaves for giving Shantiji and myself this opportunity to talk to you. And they are doing an awesome job bringing so many artists every week. And it's a really wealth of information that all of us are getting. So I really want to thank Indian Octaves and Shantiji. Thank you so much, my good friend Shantiji, for introducing me to Indian Octaves and to Gayathri ma'am. So thank you so much, Shantiji. And last but not the least, the audience and viewers, thank you so much. I'm pretty sure that all of us, all of you would have benefited a lot listening to Gayathri ma'am. Thank you so much. And before I end, I also wanted to give some few details about Indian Octaves. They have been doing a lot of Indian Octaves has been doing a lot of talk shows, like I mentioned. So not only talk shows, they also have a lot of other musical events planned, online events planned in the near future, which they will be talking about in every show. So the very next program is something I want to talk about today. That will be tomorrow it's a Hindustani talk show with Pandit Tejendra Narayan Majumdar. He is one of the great stalwarts in Hindustani music. It will be at 12 p.m. noon. Usually all the talk shows are at 8:30 Central night, but this will be in the afternoon, 12 p.m. So I request all the viewers to please mark your calendars and keep the time marked for tomorrow's talk show. With that, I would like to say namaskaram and thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Namaskaram to all. Thank you, Jeevi. Thank you so much.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Indian Octaves.
Thank you.